a grit-filled lens of life. The doctrine known as philosophical pessimism holds that life, by its very nature, is brimming with hardship, sorrow, and unattainable hopes. This severe and candid perspective forms the essence of philosophical pessimism, a viewpoint that directly opposes the often celebrated optimism about human life. This school of thought doesn't seek to dishearten, but rather seeks to squarely face life's brutal truths. It urges us to critically evaluate our beliefs surrounding growth, joy, and life's broader significance. The philosophical groundwork of this belief system frequently finds its origin in the ideas of German thinker Arthur Schopenhauer. According to him, the central cause of suffering in humanity is the will to live, a blind, insatiable compulsion driving all living organisms. This drive shows up as endless longing, where every wish granted births a new one, locking us in a constant loop of dissatisfaction and momentary fulfillment. Schopenhauer saw this endless pursuit not only as draining but ultimately meaningless, sustaining only discomfort and pain. His belief that existence is inherently full of suffering extends beyond individual pain. He claimed that agony is deeply embedded into the structure of life itself. Predators pursue their prey, diseases ravage the body, and death hovers over everyone. While joy and delight do occur, they are fleeting and often come at another's loss. To Schopenhauer, such short-lived pleasures do not prove life's worth, they're mere pauses in a fundamentally bleak existence. Another key figure in this philosophical vein is Friedrich Nietzsche. Though more commonly linked to existentialism, Nietzsche also dealt with grim philosophical ideas. He rejected Schopenhauer's surrender to life's misery and instead promoted a stance of affirmation. Nietzsche accepted life's cruelty, but believed we must embrace its chaos and difficulties as essential to existence. For him, recognizing hardship didn't mean surrender, it required rethinking how we respond to it. This thread of philosophical pessimism also runs through the thoughts of Romanian philosopher Emil Cioran, who took a deeply introspective and intimate stance on life's pain. His writing is rich with meditations on life's absurdity, the certainty of death, and the fragility of human ambition. He portrayed life as an ongoing battle with despair, where flashes of insight often expose the hollowness underneath our goals. For Cioran, pessimism wasn't a belief to be solved, it was a tool to see the world more honestly. A powerful feature of this outlook is its critique of the belief in progress. Many assume that life continually improves, whether through science, social development, or self-growth. Philosophical pessimists reject this idea. They argue that while external conditions evolve, the essence of human suffering remains unchanged. Technological progress may lessen certain struggles, but often introduces new forms of misery. Likewise, while societies may advance, they cannot erase our inner torment or mortality. Another fundamental challenge posed by philosophical pessimism is to the pursuit of happiness as life's main goal. It claims that chasing constant joy only amplifies letdowns, since happiness is short-lived and difficult to maintain. Instead of hunting for an idealized state of bliss, pessimists propose that we learn to accept the flaws and boundaries of life. This doesn't signify giving in, but instead suggests navigating life without being weighed down by the need for ultimate contentment. In some ways, this pessimistic worldview offers comfort by highlighting our shared experience of suffering. When we understand that hardship and pain are part of every human life, it can lead to deeper compassion and unity. If suffering is unavoidable, then our mutual vulnerability becomes a basis for empathy. This way of thinking encourages us to support one another, not because life is perfect, but because we are all enduring its challenges together. This perspective also serves as a needed counterpoint to overly cheerful or simplistic life views. In cultures that emphasize success and positivity, pessimism reminds us that life's trials are both real and valid. It offers a more grounded, balanced perspective, helping us see life clearly without being overwhelmed by it. In this way, Pessimism can serve as a stabilizing force during difficult times. Detractors of philosophical pessimism often label it as bleak or defeatist. They claim that such a focus on difficulty ignores the beauty, joy, and promise that life holds. However, many adherents would push back against this view. They don't deny life's beauty, they simply refuse to turn a blind eye to the suffering that walks alongside it. Pessimists believe that embracing the full scope of the human condition, including its darker corners, is necessary to truly grasp what life is. This philosophy does not offer soothing answers or comforting lies. It makes no guarantees of a better future or deeper meaning behind pain. Instead, it urges us to face life just as it is, without illusions or avoidance. This honest confrontation, while painful, can bring liberation. When we release ourselves from unrealistic hopes, we open the door to living more authentically. We find meaning in existence itself, not in fantasy, but in the act of living. In essence, philosophical pessimism is not a doctrine of hopelessness, but of unflinching truth. It calls on us to witness life in its entirety, to recognize hardship without retreat. Through this brave acceptance, we come to a richer understanding of what it means to be human, a blend of sorrow, happiness, yearning, and uncertainty, all held together in the relentless experience of life. Human civilization has constructed a world that often neglects its original foundation. Our cities expand, resources are exploited, and natural systems are reshaped, all to cater to human needs. But what is the real price? Eco-centered thinking and deep ecological philosophy question this worldview, urging a re-evaluation of how humans relate to nature. These views reject the belief that humanity is the core of existence. Instead, they place all forms of life and natural systems on equal ground. Eco-philosophy is an expansive field that explores the moral, spiritual, and intellectual aspects of our environment. It's not limited to protecting nature, it challenges how we perceive and interact with our surroundings. At its heart, it questions the belief in human supremacy and the assumption that nature exists solely for our benefit. Instead, eco-philosophy promotes a vision of life where humans are a single thread in an enormous, interconnected fabric. One influential idea within this realm is deep ecology, a term introduced by Norwegian thinker Arne Naess in the 1970s. Deep ecology goes far beyond conventional environmental concerns like pollution or conserving resources. While those issues matter, deep ecology sees them as symptoms of a deeper issue, our broken relationship with the natural world. This philosophy calls for a shift from seeing nature as useful to appreciating its intrinsic worth. A tree, in this view, is not valuable because it gives wood or filters air, but because it exists. This line of thinking challenges the exploitative mindset behind much of modern progress and invites us to see nature not as a warehouse of tools, but as a community we're part of. The core idea of deep ecology is biocentric equality, the belief that all life forms have an equal right to live and thrive. This doesn't mean humans must give up their needs, but it does ask us to reassess our priorities. We are called to consider the effects of our choices on the entire web of life, not just on ourselves. Understanding our interconnectedness fosters humility and accountability. The ideas behind deep ecology hold significant implications. They challenge economic models obsessed with endless growth and consumption. They question the idea of human exceptionalism that's often used to excuse environmental destruction. They demand a new mindset in everything, from farming practices to energy policies, one that emphasizes sustainability and harmony instead of domination. Advocates of deep ecology often point to its spiritual aspects. They suggest that restoring our bond with nature isn't just an ecological necessity, it's vital for our mental and communal health. Indigenous belief systems, for example, have long recognized the idea that humans are part of a bigger natural order, carrying duties toward the land and all beings within it. Deep ecology draws inspiration from these traditions and seeks to incorporate them into today's environmental thinking. Critics, however, argue that deep ecology's goals are too lofty or unrealistic in a world governed by money and politics. They question if it's feasible for humans to truly place ecosystems above their immediate interests. Others worry that giving equal moral weight to all life may lead to complicated ethical conflicts, like how to prioritize human survival without endangering other species. Such critiques reveal the tension between deep ecology's ideals and the functioning of human societies. Still, deep ecology offers a compelling lens through which to understand today's environmental crises. It reminds us that environmental collapse isn't just a technical problem, it's a failure of moral and philosophical proportions. When we treat nature as a commodity, we jeopardize the systems that sustain us. This philosophy invites us to envision a different kind of future, one where humanity coexists with the earth, respects natural boundaries, and honors biodiversity. Eco-philosophy and deep ecology also provide actionable guidance. They support local, mindful lifestyles that reduce environmental harm. They encourage learning and awareness about life's interdependence. They spark grassroots action against destructive policies and systems. These efforts may not fix everything, but they are crucial steps toward living in harmony with nature. Perhaps the most transformative part of these philosophies is their call for a new way of thinking. They ask us to stop seeing nature as separate and to realize we are an inseparable part of it. Making this change isn't easy. It involves challenging long-standing beliefs, reassessing our values, and accepting that humanity is just one piece of a vast puzzle. In today's world, facing climate shifts, vanishing species, and diminishing resources, eco-philosophy and deep ecology matter more than ever. They prompt us to go beyond surface-level fixes and tackle the deeper causes of ecological harm. They show us that the health of the earth is directly tied to our own survival. By caring for the planet, we care for ourselves. While they may not offer fast solutions, these philosophies present a powerful vision, a world where humans live within nature's limits, uphold the rights of all creatures, and find deeper meaning not through control, but through connection. It's both a bold challenge and a meaningful invitation to rethink who we are in a world far greater than us. A journey through the absurd. The cosmos offers no clear meaning. This lies at the core of what is known as the absurd. French thinker Albert Camus delved deeply into this concept, which describes the irreconcilable conflict between our deep-rooted human desire to discover significance and the universe's cold indifference. The absurd isn't a mystery we can solve or a code we can break. It's an inherent condition of human life that must be faced. Camus believed that in directly acknowledging the absurd, we unlock a rare kind of liberation and delight. This condition stems from our relentless effort to seek answers. As human beings, we have a profound hunger to know why we're here, why we suffer, and what it all ultimately means. To fill this void, we turn toward religion, philosophical thinking, scientific exploration, and artistic expression. But no matter how determinedly we search, the universe stays mute. It does not give us ultimate truths, a higher plan, or comforting explanations. This eerie silence can feel like a betrayal, as though we are being denied something rightfully ours. Yet Camus argues that this disconnect between our thirst for meaning and the universe's silence is not a defect of existence, but rather its true nature. The absurd isn't just an idea confined to theory, it manifests itself in the ordinary. Think of the effort poured into achieving a goal, only to find it lacking in the satisfaction we imagined. Or consider the endless loop of routine, waking, eating, working, sleeping, and repeating it all again. These experiences lay bare the distance between our aspirations and the reality we meet, the yearning for purpose versus the emptiness we often confront. The absurd makes itself known in such moments, not through grand revelation, but through a quiet, persistent awareness of life's contradictions. Camus insisted that the absurd is not something to flee from or conquer. It's a truth that must be met with open eyes. When people encounter this existential dissonance, many attempt to resolve it through what Camus termed philosophical suicide, the act of abandoning the search for truth by submitting to ready-made belief systems like dogmatic religion or rigid ideologies. In doing so, they give up their personal freedom and sidestep the very struggle that gives life its edge. Camus rejected this path, arguing that the absurd must not be evaded or covered up. The absurd also leads us to confront a haunting question. If life holds no ultimate purpose, is it even worth living? Camus saw this as the most pressing philosophical issue, but instead of sinking into despair, his answer was one of rebellion. He believed that life's lack of inherent meaning doesn't reduce its value. Rather, it grants us the power to define our own purpose. By embracing the absurd, we can live more genuinely, appreciating life's fleeting beauty and wild unpredictability without insisting that it must fulfill a divine or cosmic mission. Camus used the myth of Sisyphus to express his view of the absurd. In Greek legend, Sisyphus is punished by being forced to push a massive stone up a mountain, only for it to tumble back down every time he nears the summit, forever repeating this task. It's easy to interpret this as a symbol of pointless struggle and despair. But Camus saw Sisyphus differently, as a figure of courage and defiance. He argued that Sisyphus's eternal effort mirrors our own existence in a universe devoid of built-in meaning. Yet, by accepting his fate and continuing to push the stone, Sisyphus reclaims his autonomy and stands in opposition to the absurd. In his famous conclusion, Camus declared, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy. This happiness isn't rooted in illusion or wishful thinking, but in choosing to find joy simply through being alive." Even when nothing is guaranteed, the absurd teaches us that our existence belongs to us alone. With no preordained script to follow, we are free to seek what makes us feel alive, be it love, creativity, or simple presence. From this viewpoint, the absurd isn't a burden but a chance to live with honesty and fullness. Camus's absurd philosophy also calls into question common ideas about success and failure. In a world lacking objective meaning, standard measurements of achievement become hollow. What truly matters is not whether we accomplish great feats or leave behind monuments, but whether we engage with life sincerely and bravely. This way of thinking frees us from the need to chase society's definitions of success or strive for goals that don't align with our inner truth. Still, embracing the absurd is no easy task. It demands that we release comforting illusions and face life as it really is. But through this process, we gain a profound freedom, the ability to stop chasing non-existent answers and instead immerse ourselves in the act of living. Ultimately, the absurd teaches that meaning isn't something we find out in the world, it's something we construct within ourselves. It stands as both a difficulty and a blessing. It challenges us to confront the contradictions of being human, to live without absolute certainty, and still find reasons to smile. For Camus, accepting the absurd is the boldest form of resistance, a refusal to let life's lack of meaning defeat us. In embracing the absurd, we take back our freedom and uncover a unique, self-made joy. Life, with all its confusion and hardship, becomes not a burden but a voyage worth making. Life is, in the end, a magnificent accident of the cosmos. The philosophy of quietude. What if the most effective approach to life's difficulties is to simply cease trying to solve them? This provocative concept lies at the core of quietude, a philosophy urging us to release the relentless quest for answers and to accept existence as it unfolds. Quietude does not mean surrender or defeat. Rather, it invites us to withdraw from the ceaseless clamor of human ambition and discover tranquility in simplicity and calm. To grasp quietude, picture someone standing in a flowing river, struggling fiercely against the current. They expend all their strength trying to advance, yet remain stationary or are pushed backward. Quietude advises that instead of fighting the river's flow, we yield and allow ourselves to be carried forward. This surrender is not giving up. It is acknowledging the futility of certain battles and selecting a harmonious path instead. Quietude's roots extend across diverse philosophical and spiritual traditions. In Western thought, it is often linked to Pyrrho, the ancient Greek skeptic philosopher. Pyrrho argued that certainty about life's profound questions is unattainable, and that pursuing such certainty only breeds anxiety and frustration. His remedy was to adopt a suspended state of judgment, approaching life with balance and openness. For Pyrrho, this detachment was essential to attaining inner calm. During early modern Europe, quietude assumed a spiritual form through figures like Miguel de Molinos, a Spanish priest who promoted a contemplative existence centered on surrender to the divine. Molinos maintained that the soul attains genuine peace not through effortful deeds, but by complete stillness and trust in God. This spiritual quietude highlighted the futility of human striving against divine will and called for radical acceptance of life's conditions. Quietude is not exclusive to Western philosophies. It shares affinities with Eastern traditions such as Taoism and Zen Buddhism. The Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action, resonates deeply with quietude's ideal of non-striving. Similarly, Zen emphasizes releasing attachments and embracing the present moment exactly as it is. Despite cultural and historical differences, these traditions unite around the conviction that peace arises not through control or achievement, but through surrender and acceptance. A major criticism of quietude is its seemingly passive nature. Detractors claim it can excuse inactivity or be used to evade responsibility. If we simply accept life as it is, are we ignoring suffering and injustice? Quietude advocates respond that their philosophy is not apathy, but perspective. They assert that much suffering originates not from reality itself, but from our attempts to impose our will upon it. By stepping back, we gain clearer vision and can respond with wisdom and compassion rather than ego and desperation. In philosophy, Ludwig Wittgenstein's later work reflects a quietude-like approach. He proposed that many philosophical dilemmas emerge from language's misuse, and once this is understood, these problems dissipate naturally. His famous assertion, "Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent," encapsulates this view. For Wittgenstein, philosophy's role was not to offer solutions, but to reveal the boundaries of understanding and foster peace within them. Quietude also informs how we confront personal and societal challenges. In an age obsessed with productivity, progress, and self-improvement, quietude provides a countercultural lens. It encourages questioning whether our relentless pursuit of success, knowledge, and control truly brings happiness, or merely increases stress and dissatisfaction. By withdrawing from endless striving, we may uncover a deeper contentment and clarity. Though focused on stillness and acceptance, quietude is not a universal prescription. It demands mindful reflection and balance. For some, it guides navigation through life's uncertainties. For others, it serves as a reminder to slow down and attend to what truly matters. In either case, quietude challenges us to reconsider our relationship with action and inaction, control and surrender. Ultimately, quietude is a philosophy of simplicity. It does not promise quick answers or easy fixes, but offers a profound shift in outlook, a way to attain peace not by changing the external world, but by transforming our engagement with it. In a noisy, chaotic world, quietude invites us to embrace silence, stillness, and the subtle strength found in letting go. It reminds us that the deepest truths are sometimes discovered not by seeking more, but by learning to be content with less. Understanding the essence of pain and suffering. Pain and suffering are unavoidable realities that touch every individual across the globe, sparing no one from their reach. But why do they exist? Are they merely harsh accidents of life, or do they hold a deeper significance? The question surrounding the purpose of suffering has perplexed humanity for thousands of years, inspiring some of our most profound philosophies, religious beliefs, and artistic expressions. At its heart, suffering prompts us to question existence itself. Why must living beings face agony, loss, and despair? For many, suffering appears to contradict the very notion of a fair or meaningful universe. Yet others contend that suffering is not just an unfortunate side effect of life, but a powerful force that molds us, challenges us, and paradoxically adds depth and meaning to our lives. One of the most impactful views on suffering comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus, who regarded pain as an inevitable aspect of the human condition. He believed that by understanding the nature of suffering, we could learn to cope with it. According to Epicurus, much of our anguish stems from fear of death, pain, and the unknown. By facing these fears directly and acknowledging their limits, we lessen their control over us. This doesn't imply eliminating suffering completely, but rather developing a clearer way to manage it. Religious traditions also offer powerful interpretations. In Christianity, suffering is often interpreted as a test of faith or a journey toward redemption. The story of Job, for example, portrays a man who loses everything yet maintains trust in God throughout his trials. His suffering becomes a means to deepen his spiritual connection, even if the reasons for his pain remain a mystery. This view doesn't necessarily explain suffering, but recasts it as a transformative force that can elevate the human spirit. Buddhism places suffering at the core of its teachings. The First Noble Truth teaches that life is marked by suffering dukkha, caused by desire and attachment. This suffering is not punishment, but a natural result of craving permanence in an impermanent world. The Buddha's path to enlightenment provides a way to transcend suffering, not through avoidance, but by understanding its roots and learning to release attachment. Here, suffering serves as a teacher leading toward insight and liberation. Existentialist thinkers such as Friedrich Nietzsche see suffering as essential for growth and self-realization. Nietzsche famously stated, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." He argued suffering should not be shunned but embraced as a wellspring of strength and creativity. Life's toughest challenges compel us to face our limits and surpass them, transforming pain into power. For Nietzsche, suffering was not just a burden to endure, but a driving force behind human greatness. However, not everyone agrees suffering has intrinsic meaning. Many nihilists view suffering as a random, meaningless fact of life, lacking any cosmic purpose or justification. This outlook can be both liberating and unsettling. It frees us from the need to find meaning in pain, but also leaves us to confront suffering without comforting narratives. Nihilism challenges us to create our own meaning in a universe that provides none. Modern psychology adds another perspective, emphasizing how we interpret and respond to suffering. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote extensively about this in his book Man's Search for Meaning. Drawing from his experiences in concentration camps, Frankl argued that while we can't always control the suffering we face, we can choose our attitude toward it. For Frankl, the ability to find meaning even in the darkest moments defines humanity. He viewed suffering as an opportunity to transcend circumstances and affirm life's value. Science sheds light on suffering's role in evolution. Pain acts as a survival mechanism, alerting us to danger and helping us avoid harm. Emotional suffering such as grief or loneliness can strengthen social bonds and encourage cooperation, crucial for the survival of social species. While these explanations don't provide moral or philosophical meaning, they reveal suffering as an essential part of life's design, shaping how we interact with the world and one another. In today's world, where suffering often feels overwhelming due to wars, pandemics, and environmental crises, it's easy to see it as an unbearable burden. Yet some argue suffering can inspire compassion and unity. In times of collective hardship, people come together to support each other, finding strength and meaning through shared humanity. This doesn't erase pain, but transforms it into something that connects and uplifts. Suffering pushes us to confront difficult truths, test our resilience, and acknowledge life's fragility. Whether or not we find meaning in it, suffering remains one of the most profound and universal experiences. It acts as a mirror reflecting our vulnerability and a crucible forging our character. Ultimately, the meaning of suffering is deeply personal. For some, it is a source of spiritual growth. For others, a reminder of life's indifferent harshness. And for many, simply an undeniable fact to be faced and endured. What unites all perspectives is the recognition that, painful as it is, suffering is an intrinsic part of living. By understanding suffering, we come closer to understanding ourselves and the complex, fragile, and extraordinary nature of life, an absurd existence that demands meaning,